Welcome back to the Tailgate. Another installment on our series for freezer beef has to do with facilities. And as we think about these calves and we bring them in, the first part of that growing phase, we're going to utilize a lot of forages. And of course, forages can mean either stored forages or pasture, either one. So I think where we start is with pasture and what is an appropriate place to put your calf. Putting that calf out with another group of maybe older, mature cows, something like that, is not your best bet. What we need to do is put this calf on a fairly good plane of nutrition, so we're looking for a higher quality forage. So if you've got a place that you can section off with an electric fence, or even a lot somewhere where you have a higher quality of forage and can manage that forage a little better, that is an ideal place to put your freezer beef. As far as the location of where that needs to be, it doesn't need to be on the back of the farm to where you have to go a long ways to see about this calf every day and feed him every day. He needs to be up close to where you're going to be able to see him as you come and go, or be able to at least lay eyes on him several times a day. Again, remember, this calf is stressed at this point in time. He may not even be weaned whenever you buy him. The purchased experience may be the weaning experience. So it may not be your best idea to come and turn him out in a 5-acre pasture with electric fence that very first day. But after that calf is weaned, put him out on grass, let him walk, let him exercise, have plenty of access to fresh water, because these animals are going to double their water consumption whenever we start pushing them to their genetic limits. So again, put this calf out to where you've got a feed trough. It's handy, it's easy for you to take care of, and during your normal daily routine, you're able to see him several times a day to make sure that he's healthy. Even though we may put him up for a few days to make sure he's weaned, he does not need a whole lot of shelter other than shade during the summertime or a windbreak during the wintertime. But once we move into that finishing phase, we're going to need a little different management of facilities for that animal.
But when we think about the finishing phase, those facilities are going to change a little bit differently. We're looking at confining that animal to a much smaller area where they don't have as much running room, maybe a stall in the barn or a much smaller lot if they've been out on a larger paddock. Basically, we're trying to minimize the distance that they have to walk. We're mimicking that feedlot situation. If you think about the pictures you've seen of those big feedlots out west, those cattle are confined to one small area and they get their feed and their water all within a relatively short distance. We're mimicking that as well. The only difference is we're normally mimicking that for one, maybe two head in this situation, whereas the feedlots out west are mimicking that for groups of like 50 at a time. So, again, the area needs to be dry, needs to be clean, plenty of access to fresh water, plenty of forage. Generally, this is not going to be a pasture situation anymore, but plenty of forage, and of course the feed trough. Now, if you are feeding cattle through the winter, this needs to be not fully enclosed because we need plenty of good airflow through it, but at least some windbreak areas if it is a lot, maybe a run-in in the barn or something of that sort. If it is an enclosed stall in the barn, we need to consider things like a fan during the summertime to help keep those animals cool and comfortable, because we want to make sure that their experience is as comfortable and pleasant as possible, because that's when they're going to grow the best.
That's exactly right. And mentioning the fan, you know, there's times that you even need to run a fan during the wintertime. Being able to change the air in whatever area that you have that calf, and of course it's not necessary if you're outside, but if you are in an enclosed area under a roof, it's important to remember that we get a lot of gases from manure packs, things of that nature, and we need to move that air out or change that air that's in the area where that animal is at. Because animals that are stressed any more than necessary, animals that are not comfortable and not healthy do not grow well. So animal health, animal well-being is paramount to a successful beef feeding experience.
I think that rounds out our series on facilities.
Come back and join us again at the tailgate. We'll see you in the next one.